meeting, my friend.
Hey, thanks guys. Really awesome to be here. This is so cool. Usually I'm, talking to one or two people, so this is nice.
Mhm. And just piggyback upon Nico's uh, introduction of Alex, I have personally worked with Alex before and with Joe together too. Great is the way he does the business. He does what and he knows the game, and he brings a lot of value to potential investors. So I'm very excited to see him again here, actually virtually in person, because before we were just texting. Now I'm very excited. So we're gonna start now. Alex, tell us more about yourself. Like, I want to know what got you into being a broker, and also especially now multifamily market.
What got me to be a broker, that's an interesting question because I really at first was like, man, I don't want to be an agent. I don't want to, most of everybody's initial thoughts on real estate agents are, what you think of regarding your single family home agents. Nice people, talk a lot, but don't maybe know anything about real estate investing. There's some that do, don't get me wrong, but most people that are what you consider residential real estate agent are those that just want to, sell you a house. And I never wanted to do that because I just don't have the patience to listen to people's stories. I also don't have the desire to get into people's emotional distress of wanting or not wanting a house. So I said, no, I'll never do that. My wife asked me about it a couple different times because I've always been enamored with just real estate in general. And then I decided, you know what, let me talk to some mentors of mine and had some discussions. And they said, you know what, man, there's more than just houses to sell. You can sell large apartments. And I said, well, I'm going to do that then. So I looked into it, and that's really how I got started on the brokerage side was, I looked into it and started doing reading just like everybody else and read tons and tons of real estate related books. One that really got me convinced, not only in real estate investing, but also in becoming a real estate agent was the book by Sam Zell, which is Am I Being Too Subtle? And he wasn't an agent or anything, but he just talked a lot about real estate and how it drove him to really be the man he is today, which is a multi-billionaire investor. Started out with no units, just like probably all of us here. I don't know all you guys personally, but I didn't come from a real estate background. None of my family owned any real estate other than farms. And so, he just kind of fell into it and really liked it. And so that's how I became a real estate agent. And multifamily to me has always been the key to long-term wealth. You always, everybody, we talk about the ebbs and flows of the economy. You've got retail that comes and goes. You got office space that's doing whatever it's doing. But one thing we all know is people always need a place to live. And that place can be as small as, whatever your state's legal requirements are, maybe 200 square feet, I don't know, up to, 2,500 square foot apartments. And so people always need a place to live. And so investing in that asset is where I knew my money would be safe. And so that's where I'm at here today.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Multifamily is in high demand, especially nowadays. The millennials are, they don't want to buy a big house, right? They want to enjoy the good amenities, nice apartments. They want a smaller place, simple life. And also, whereas the baby boomers too, they want to come back to the simpler life after their kids are grown up. And so I think multifamily will continue to be in a huge demand.
Totally agree. Yeah. I mean, there's no place for it to go but up with the rising costs. If you follow any of the building and the home price costs, even home prices here in Kansas City and across the nation, they're going up, and they're not going up by a little, they're going up by quite a bit. And so it makes it very difficult for, anybody graduating from college to come out and buy a home. especially in a neighborhood or a suburb or wherever it is that you want to live, it's very hard to do. And so your first option, of course, is to continue to rent. And you know, just the cost to build a home is so high. And so once those parallels go into place, it's just a never ending cycle. I always feel like, you know, the US is quite a bit behind where Europe is in terms of how they've developed. Obviously, you know, we've only been a country for 300 years or whatever. And Europe's been there for thousands of years, so they have a couple thousand years on us. But you know, those people over there, that if you watch those market dynamics, that kind of stuff is moving to the U.S. A lot slower in some places and a lot faster in other places like New York and those kind of things.
Awesome, Alex. So I'm going to jump into some questions about, you know, being a broker and kind of like draw a line between us and you for a few minutes, because I get so many, you know, when I'm talking to my partners, we're always thinking, well, we're all looking at the same deals, right? So let's start by saying, what would make my offer stand out? What's something that you look at in offers that is like, oh, well, we might choose this over that? Is it always money?
It's not always money. No, it's a great point. And it's very difficult to, you know, prove yourself to a broker when you have not transacted with them. And so when you come in and you say, hey, you know, if your first question is, well, will this person take seller financing? You know, that's usually kind of a red flag to me of, you know, this person's only after a great deal. And oh, by the way, there are very few great deals out there, at least by our old standards. And so that to me says they don't know the market and that they maybe aren't super experienced. So price is not always the driving factor. One thing right now that is important is faster closing. You know, get your ducks in a row on due diligence. So a lot of people, you know, used to come in and ask 60 days with a 30-day close. And don't get me wrong, there for a while you could get that during COVID, you know, the first kind of early part of COVID, you could probably get that. And you still might be able to now, but I can tell you that, you know, the due diligence period, if you're buying multifamily and it's, you know, less than 100 units, you know, your due diligence period is going to set you apart. So is your earnest money deposit, not necessarily the amount, but the speed at which you can get it to the title company, or at least as an initial promise, part of your letter of intent. Doing a proper letter of intent also helps. And then, you know, yes, you know, Nico, your price does matter. If you're going to come in at, you know, 80% of the purchase price or 90% of the purchase price, the broker is going to say, yeah, you know what, I'll float it by the seller. But you've got to establish some kind of reason around why you're doing all these things. The other important piece is when you're talking to a broker, when you're talking to a person like me is, you know, do you have your lender lined up? You might tell me, hey, I've got a lender if you're an out-of-state investor, but you might come in and tell me, hey, I've got a lender lined up. Well, is that an out-of-state lender? Because many times they won't look at the Kansas City market, or they treat it differently, or maybe you've got to put 40% down, whereas in the Kansas City market, we have access to banks that require 25% down. And sometimes if you're a repeat customer and really nice and you've got great credit and all these other things, they'll even do 20% down. So your loan to value only needs to be 80%. And so knowing that in the market that you're going into, you know, using a broker like myself really can give you an advantage in knowing that, hey, I can actually, holy crap, I can leverage 80% of this purchase price. You know, if I maybe have done a couple transactions, or maybe I can at least leverage 75%. And maybe in my market, it's 60%. So having your team built already when you come into the market, or asking a broker for, hey man, or girl, I need to know my team. So I need a lender, I need a property management company because I'm not going to manage this myself. And I need an insurance provider. Maybe I even need legal. Please help me set up my team. And I'm going to use you, Mr. or Mrs. Broker, to complete my transaction. And so that tells the broker that, okay, hey, this person's serious in the market. They, you know, are needing help and wanting our advice. And oh, by the way, they told me, they physically told me, hey, I'm going to use you for this transaction. That's very helpful to give confidence to the broker.
Okay, good point. Thank you, thank you. Well, I'm sure also there are other points, whether you resonate with this person after you have some time talking to him. So that's what I'm gonna ask you, because maybe if you're in, if some of us, if we have some experience, we know how to, you know, get the ducks lined up, like lenders and property management companies, and we will, you know, let you know we have this lender, we're gonna use this property management company there. However, let's say if somebody is a beginner, right? Not everyone is experienced, right? As a beginner, it's scary to make a cold call to the brokers, right? Mm-hmm. However, it's a hurdle that we have to get through at one point. So as a broker yourself, can you tell us, let's see, how to be taken a little more seriously, not as a mere tire kicker? How, like, let's say you pick up the phone call, right? And tell me the best person, best beginner and the worst beginner, how they could start talking to you.
Yeah, the worst beginner, we'll start off with that one. The worst beginner is, you know, something like, hey, Alex, I want to buy a fourplex and I only want to spend $200,000. Can you send me what you have? You know, those are like the worst calls in the world, because you can tell that the person has, you know, just wants to get off the phone with you. I understand maybe they don't want to and they just don't know how to start the conversation. I get it. But the way it appears to me is, geez, this person has no idea what they're talking about or who they're talking to. Not that I'm anybody big, but I'm just saying, like, you know, they just don't know how to talk to a broker. And so you just say, yeah, sure, I'll send you something. You put them on a list, and maybe when you have, you know, time on your deathbed, you finally send it to them or something. But, you know, that's kind of the worst case, is when somebody gets really quick, right? I mean, I like getting to the point, don't get me wrong, but when it's like, you know, they don't come out with any kind of something that gives me confidence that I know that they're real. Mm-hmm. And so a great way to do it, even if you're brand new, like, you know, I was brand new a couple of years ago doing it and talking to brokers. And it was, you know, the first thing that I always would say is, hey, you know, I'm Alex, I'm a real estate investor, and I am looking for this kind of property. I wouldn't talk about price because, you know, that's something that we can always get to, or price per unit and that kind of stuff. I say, hey, look, this is what I'm looking for. I am looking for, you know, 2 units or 6 units or whatever it is. And I have this kind of much money to spend. And, but I'm looking for help from you to let me know if I'm in the right ballpark, or if there's, you know, if this isn't something you've seen recently, or what are you seeing in the market? You know, because you want the broker to feel like they're the expert, even if you've done a million different things and research on it. You're all over Zillow, MLS, LoopNet, whatever. You know the market maybe better than the broker half the time. Mm-hmm. But if you want the attention of the broker, you want to come in and say, hey, look, you know, help me out here with this market. I'm seeing some fourplexes that are, to me, look overpriced, but maybe I'm missing something. You know, so you want to ask questions about whatever property it is that you're talking about. The broker may not know, which is fine. That also gives you as a buyer kind of a yellow flag of, geez, this broker doesn't know, I have no idea what this property even is, you know, and doesn't really seem to care. Maybe I'll move on to the next broker. Mm-hmm. But coming in with an attitude of, you know, hey, Mr. Broker, Mrs. Broker, can you please help me? You don't have to say I'm new here, because they don't need to know that yet. You just want to say, hey, look, this is what I'm looking for. and these are questions I have about the property. Tell me what I'm missing, and you know, I really am interested in buying something. Maybe this isn't the one, but let's keep talking.
Nice. So you're saying sometimes it might be better just to openly open up and then just purely ask for help.
That's exactly right. You know, even experienced investors, you know, approach me that way. You know, especially somebody who's new to the market coming from New York or California or Denver or Houston. They come in and say, hey, you know, I'm new to this market. I'm a real estate investor. I've done these deals in these other markets, but I'm new. You know, help me out here. I'm not going to go into this thing blind, and I need your help. And that actually gives me confidence to know that, you know, I can actually help this person because, you know, they're from out of state.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, they don't know the market as well as I do simply because I live here.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Hey, Alex, we got a question from Joe Sullivan. Can you maybe explain how a marketing piece would separate you from the competition? Like, how helpful would it be for me to come and have a website to present to you, or a credibility book, or a one-pager to present to you?
Yeah, that's great, Joe. Actually, that's a great thing. And Joe's actually done that. You know, bringing that to the table is important. It really is. Even if you're a brand new investor, you know, putting your resume, if you've never invested in a single deal in your life, if you've got a resume, the first thing though should say real estate investor. And even if you have no real estate investments, you can talk about, you know, something else that's related to it. Make it related to it somehow. You know, like Liam, he maybe doesn't own anything yet, but he's in the real estate business because of where he works. And so he can put that onto his resume, and just having a resume PDF that's floating out there, you know, helps give the broker some really good insight. And I would say actually that has, you know, it gets my attention every time. It doesn't matter if you're fairly new or brand new investor or you're seasoned. You know, a couple of my last 2 or 3 clients, you know, were kind of bugging me about some real estate multifamily stuff downtown, and I was just like, this person's going to go to some other broker anyway. You know, no big deal. And then he sent me over his real estate investment experience. And I don't know if there was 2 on there or 12 on there. I can't remember how many places he invested, but what I remember was, okay, this person's actually done deals before. And he even put a blurb in there of why he liked Kansas City. It was like, you know, whatever it was, you know, I like this market because of X, Y, and Z, you know, Chiefs are the best, or whatever the case may be. But that was pretty fun then.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So for everybody, you know what I'll do? I never emailed. So I have everybody's email at this time. And what I'll do is I have 3 templates for a one-pager design that shows an example of how to do it. And it shows an example of like how to use, just like what Alex is talking about, how to talk about the market, why you chose the market, and then maybe even include some team members on there that you can leverage. So I don't have any properties, but I used it and it's worked for me. So I'll send that out to you guys when I send the post email to this. Alex, I wanted to ask you another question, and you can say no to this because I know that some people are kind of like not willing to share this, but you mentioned earlier about submitting a good LOI. If you have a nice template or a nice LOI that you would be willing to share with us, that would be excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. Send me a reminder maybe tomorrow, and I definitely will fire that on over to you. It's, you know, it's basic, but I think it gets the point across. It's got Clemens Real Estate header on it, but you know, it'll show you all the different things that you want in there, and you know, it helps to, especially if you're working with a broker. You know, if a person comes to me and says, "Hey, I want to put an offer in on this place," and oh, by the way, I have my own LOI template. Oh, great! That's one less thing I got to do. But also makes me feel a little guilty and makes me work a little harder for that buyer because, you know, he's doing some of my work, which is great.
Great. Thank you very much. We're gonna definitely follow up and send you guys that template. Nico, I wanna do a little exercise here.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So what I'm trying to do here is, since we have Alex here, right? He's a broker. I want I want to randomly maybe pick one or two of you guys and let you guys practice with Alex as if you're making a cold call to him. Okay?
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. If there is any volunteer who wants to try, is there any volunteer? Like, let me see.
So I'm gonna say Liam's hand is the highest up out of anybody else's hand.
There you go.
Joe's was
Yeah.
Joe, yours was kind of high too.
All
Well,
right.
I could do the exercise, sure.
Sure. All right. Let's go. Let's fire.
Okay, Liam, you call me and I'll be me, real me.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, ring, ring.
Ring, ring.
This is Alex.
Hello, Alex. This is Liam O'Hara. I'm a real estate investor located in Kansas City. Do you have a few minutes for us to chat and get acquainted?
Yeah, sure. What's going on?
Thanks, Alex. Well, I'm looking to buy a property in Kansas City. I'm interested in the Westport neighborhood. I'm also interested in kind of the north area, North Kansas City, Gladstone, and Liberty. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on the market? I've got a couple of properties that I'm looking at, and would just be interested in hearing what you think.
Well, Westport's going to be a pretty expensive location, and and then the other spot you're talking about up in Liberty. I mean, what are you specifically looking at? Is there an address you can shoot to me?
Sure, yeah. I'm looking at a quadplex up in Liberty with a value add component. I can show you the address of the property. Yeah.
Okay. And have you? Is this kind of your first time looking at this property, or I mean, what's the story here? Why haven't you been able to purchase anything in the? I shouldn't say why haven't you been able to, but have you purchased anything else in the past?
No, I haven't purchased anything in the past. No.
Okay.
I've just started getting into the real estate investing, but I haven't purchased anything in the past. I've got pretty specified criteria though of what I'm looking to what I'm looking to purchase.
Okay, great. Why don't you go ahead and send me your criteria, and I will take a look at it and see if I got any properties that might fit what you're looking for.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks.
Great. Great. I think it was great. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you did a good job, especially getting past the first hurdle, which is, convincing a broker that you're real, right?
Yeah.
So, and I kind of tried to play a little bit hardball there with,
Right.
some of the things of, hey, I don't have time for you kind of stuff, but you handled it great.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
All
Was
right.
it- Was it a turnoff that he said he hadn't bought any properties yet?
It is, but I don't know how to get around that if you haven't, other than saying, the other kind of leaning factor, like I was talking about a little bit before, is, someone says, hey, have you bought anything in the past? No, I haven't, but I've got my money lined up. I have X amount in the bank. Just say I have $50,000 in the bank that I need to deploy. I know who I'm going to use as a bank, and that's, such and such with the bank. And I'm going to manage the property myself because I'm super handy and everything else. And, the other piece to it is, doing some research on the broker. If you want to really kind of, especially if you're new, I think it's very important. And that's what I did when I was new, is I researched.
There'll probably be multiple trips down that way eventually, but
I got it.
But anyway, so eventually you want to research that person, whoever it is, look them up on LinkedIn. That's the first thing you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they're not on there, they're hardly worth talking to. And then from there, you want to, Google them, of course, but you want to know who you're talking to, because you can use something in there to, impress them or get their attention. For example, me, I'm always on, LinkedIn talking about Kansas City stuff, and you could pull out some random thing that I talked about, and that would be, show me that, hey, this person has dedicated time. they've essentially given me some of their time by researching me. And so therefore they want to talk to me, not just a random broker. That sometimes brokers feel like we're a dime a dozen because that's how sometimes brokers are treated. But if you treat them like they're special, you get more attention.
Yep.
Great.
So I'm going to interject real quick, Joseph. I think you see that question, but I wanted to ask one more thing. Let's say Liam came in and was like, I'm looking for 50 plus units, and he was using cap rates and all this high verbiage and all this terminology that makes him seem smart. You probably wouldn't. I'm assuming you wouldn't ask him, "Have you done a deal before?" Or do you? You probably wouldn't ask for proof of funds or anything, would you? Because I haven't been asked that.
No, I mean, I do ask for, he says he's in Kansas City. And so I always ask, have you done a deal in Kansas City before? Just because I want to know if they've done it in the market. Maybe other brokers don't, but I always like to know just so I don't like to waste people's time. And so I can kind of direct, my conversation around. If they've done a deal before, then I don't need to go through the rigmarole of, do you have a bank? Do you have a this? Do you have a that? I kind of skip that part and get right in more into the meat.
Mm-hmm. Nice, nice. Well, I know Liam is from Kansas City. I want to try someone who's not from Kansas City, like a legit out-of-state investors. Let's see. Oh, Travis just raised
I'll
his
take
hand
it.
up. Yeah, there you go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, I always want to improve my pitch.
Yeah,
All
ring,
right, so
ring, ring.
ring, ring,
This is Alex.
ring, ring. Hey, how's it going, man? How's it going, Alex? My name is Travis Gibson. I'm the managing partner for Freeman Equity Group. I represent a group of high net worth individuals, and we're looking to continue to invest in Kansas City. We have 2 assets in place currently, and we're looking for more. As it relates to what we're looking for multifamily units. Our preference is really B and C class properties. We're looking for at least an 8% cash on cash, and ideally a 6 cap. We're into value add, so I like the medium renovation. We're not really interested in like a reposition. As I said, we have a couple of assets already in place, and we work with AMG as our property management firm. So I was just wondering anything in your pipeline that you could send over for review.
I do actually, yeah. Let's talk further. I can get you some information, right away. What's your purchase price range? Did you mention that?
Well, I didn't, because we raise private equity. Depending on the deal, we could go, as high as 20 to 25 million.
Okay.
Ideally, we're looking for something around the 7 to 10 million range, but for the right deal, we could certainly line the equity up.
Okay. Well, that's a great call from a experienced investor that Travis knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly kind of what you want to say. He proved a whole bunch of things to me, and one of the things that he did, and I'm looking for keywords in the Kansas City market of how realistic is this person. One of which was, I think you said 8% return.
Yeah, cash on cash. Yep.
Which is doable. Okay, so if he comes in and says I want 16% cash on cash,
I do.
Where
Do
is
you have that?
I need
Do you have
16
that? If you have that, please send it.
Yes.
I might have that in triple net retail shopping centers.
Okay.
But no, I mean that's the thing. You come in, and so you can tell that Travis knows the market. He knows, and I don't know how much different Kansas City is versus what I would consider some of our competitors. I hear people talk about like a Cleveland, Indianapolis. Those two ring a bell right now. St. Louis, Omaha, Des Moines. I don't know how those numbers compare to those locations directly, but they seem to be similar. And so you've got to know where the market's at right now. If you're reading older books. I don't know how old, even if they're 5, 10 years old, and they're talking about, 10% cap rates. I really don't know what markets you can get those in at a decent volume. You can always find a onesie, twosie, duplex, or serious value add fourplex, or maybe a sixplex that's in a dumpy part of town in Kansas City that you get lucky and stumble into, which is great. Go after it, do it. But from a, hey, what do you have available right now as a new investor or a new person, it's hard to find those assets.
Nice, Travis. That was great. Thank you very much for your what's it called? It was
Volunteer?
not volunteer, but it was voluntold. Yes, Anna created the word, I think. Great.
All right, I'm gonna read one of the questions from the chat box, guys. If anybody else has a question, throw it in there. So we got Joe again, Joe Sullivan. So Joe's asking, at what percent of 50+ unit deals are trading on market versus off market in Kansas City? Would you know that offhand? That's pretty.
I would be guessing, of course, because there's always transactions that are not didn't go through an agent. It's just uncles selling to aunts or whatever. But I would say the 50+ units are traded most often. I'd say at least 50% of the time off market, and they're off market in the sense of they're not on LoopNet. They may be on a CBRE website or a, Collier's website, or maybe something like myself and Logan Freeman have access to, that somebody shops out to all the brokers in town, the commercial style brokers. So it is quite a bit of what I would consider the medium size, maybe even a large size for Kansas City. 50 units and up does go off, off of somebody's list versus LoopNet or something.
Thank you. I have a couple questions about the relationship with the broker. How much follow-up is enough? Let's say you don't have any deal with investors at this point, but you want to maintain the relationship. Like, how can I keep in touch with you without being kind of knowing, right? What is your preferred, and then what is your preferred method of communicating at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I think a once a month, text message gets a broker's opinion, and then maybe a once in a quarter call. I think those two are important. Not that we don't have any magic list, really. I mean, I do have a list of buyers, absolutely, and I do have some prioritized higher than others. Of course, 1031 guys and gals are always, number one because they're on a deadline. And then I have a few other buyers that, have really reasonable expectations and are aggressive in the market. They're maybe willing to accept a little bit less returns, or at least in their mind, they're the same returns, because they have more aggressive, they have more aggressive expense ratios. So instead of maybe a 50% expense ratio, maybe they're at 45% expense ratio because of the way that they manage it, and, or maybe the way that their capital is raised. So I have some of those buyers higher up that I definitely send deals to first. Of course, 1031s deals to first. And then beyond that, it's, you're kind of making, friends, even if you don't think of me as a friend. If you're texting me every month or so, I'll probably call you my friend, or maybe even if you text me every 3 months, you're my friend, because I don't have a lot of friends. So that that helps.
Great. All right, thank you very much.
Anna's got a question. So if a deal comes across your desk, we were kind of talking about this earlier to some degree. How do you make a decision on whom you're calling first? Like, to which buyers you're going to call up first?
In other words, I actually had a similar question. If I want to get that first off-market deal from your pipeline, what should I do, right?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because everybody wants to be first to see it, especially right now when the market's like super crazy hot. I mean, Joe knows this, and everybody probably on this board knows this. You know, there's no deals out there. And so when a deal does come in, you want to be first at it. And so I think, you know, doing some of the things that that Joe and you guys have done, and Travis has done probably on you know, maybe a bigger scale, is important, where you've established a relationship with a broker. You've proven you're trustworthy because of the things I talked about. You've got a lender. You've got a one-pager resume about yourself. You've got you know, property management figured out. You have everything figured out, and you've proven that to the broker by talking to them. And you've told the broker, maybe in that text message every month, hey, you got anything? And the broker, you know, maybe says no, maybe says, yeah, here's a bunch of stuff that you don't want to see, but I'll send it to you anyway. But anyway, then you say, okay, well, let me know, because I'm ready to go. I still got cash. I still got whatever. I've got, you know, people lined up. You remember, you know, hey, Alex, remember I've got so-and-so lined up with me, and we're ready to go. And if I believe that your expectations are realistic on it, then yeah, you're definitely going to be in the first, you know, group or so to send it to, you know, especially like I said, that once a month text message, that shows me that you are putting your time into me or whoever. And then therefore I feel guilty, or, you know, feel like, hey, I can get a sale, and so I want to put time back into you. It's a great question. It really is tough, because, you know, right now it's super hot, and, you know, you also don't want to work with brokers. This is my opinion, of course, but, you know, you don't want to work with a broker that's going to oversell you something. And then right now that market's kind of difficult to not be oversold, because there's, you know, not much out there. So you're kind of looking at things and you're going, ooh, maybe I need to deploy this so I can prove to my capital providers that I can get deals done. And you got to make sure that you're not being oversold at a time like right now.
Let's see. And I have a follow-up question. Thank you, first of all. If an out-of-state buyer flies in to meet you in person, right, to Kansas City, or tour the property with you in person, would you look at it as more favorable buyer?
I would, if we have a pretty good understanding of what you're looking for. I do have this, and I'm sorry if you've ever reached out to me and asked me for this. Hey, Alex, I'm going to be in town next Monday, and today's Friday or whatever, and I want to look at some properties. What do you have for me? And we haven't done a deal together. I'm probably not going to take that too seriously. That's going to be more of a waste of my time, because I've got things probably already lined up for Monday. And now other brokers might take that differently. They might see that as, this person's definitely going to buy from me in the future. Maybe they do. But me, I like trust. I think a lot of brokers do. You know, they say, hey, Alex or Joe Smith or whatever, I really like that property you sent to me a week or two or a month ago, and I really want to find some more like it. I want to come to Kansas City or wherever, and I'm going to be there in a month or so. Let's set up a time. Let's look. Maybe even we'll put something under an LOI, or at least start some LOIs. I want to be in this price range. Okay, boom, here's a couple properties. Let's get an LOI going. Okay, we're close, but I'm not sure if I want to buy this. Okay, no problem. I'll fly out. You fly out. You look at the property. Maybe you don't like it. That's totally fine. You don't have to buy it, But at least now you've been to Kansas City. You know me. You showed you're serious. All those other things. So it definitely does help. And I think Logan Freeman, also in my office, he would say it helps a lot. And he's toured a lot of people that way. I think it's because he likes talking a lot more than me. But that's maybe just my opinion.
Great point.
Logan's a man.
Logan's a man. Yeah. All right. Any other question?
Could I ask a question?
Of course.
I
Go ahead.
It'd be easier for me to say it than
Right. Let's
hey,
open it up. Yes.
Thank you. Hey, Alex, thank you for your time tonight. My question is, I haven't reached out to brokers yet via cold calling. I'm finding my deals basically on say the Crexy site right now. So I downloaded an OM, and I look at the details, the financials, and we've been doing a lot of underwriting. Sometimes the numbers are close, sometimes they're not. But the truth is, I don't have a portfolio yet, so I'm not really in a position to make an offer. And I'm having some brokers there, emailing me, say, "Hey James, I saw you looked at the property. You're interested. How can we move forward?" And I'm trying, and I'm in my target market right now, so I'm trying not to turn them off. Make them think that I'm not a serious buyer. So I've been telling them I'm not getting the numbers to work right yet. I'm still trying to work the numbers. How can I say to them that, I'm not really in a position yet, or should I say that? I'm a little confused as to how to reply to some of these brokers that are reaching out to me.
Yeah, that's a good question. It really is. I think a good response, because I always am looking back at, other kind of examples. And I think, it's okay to be honest with them at this point. You can say to them, hey, or at least mostly honest, where you're saying, hey, I'm really messing with these deals. They're looking interesting. Right now, they're not going to be a fit, or they may not be a fit right now, but that may change. And that kind of lets them know without telling them, hey, these numbers don't work. Because what happens, at least if you come to me and say, hey, I can't get the numbers to work, I'm going to say, what numbers, which one, why doesn't it,
That's exactly what they're saying to me.
Yeah. Why, what about it doesn't it work? And if it's, something where you don't have all the pieces lined up to even make an offer on it, regardless of what the numbers say, then it puts you in a weird position where you got to explain yourself of, I really want a 10 cap property, and then you've ruined all your credibility with them. So I think just being honest and saying, hey, I'm still working through this stuff right now. It's not going to work for us, or not going to work for me. I'll let you know when that changes.
Cool. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Is there any other question? We're slowly going to, so this is like, we're opening up a Q&A. And if you have any question, you could, unmute yourself and just ask questions without typing it.
Yeah, I got one. Hey, jeez, perfect time for the kids to scream. So with experience, right? Like, hey guys, please, I'm on the phone. With the experience, right? Like in the process of building out my website and kind of doing those things, and not all experience is created equal, but I'm basically putting my experience out there, which is, a buy and hold, long-term rental management, short-term rental management, and a flip. And I don't really have a choice but to put that, because that's all that I've got, basically. How are you looking at all experiences not created equal, but are you looking at a guy that's at least dabbled in the residential space, the investing space, and being like, all right, he sort of knows, I guess what he's doing, I guess it's better than nothing, but what are your thoughts on that?
No, I think that's perfect, man. In my world, that's a ton of experience. Any experience that you've actually completed is a ton of experience, because when you're buying investment property, because it simply shows, that you had to do a whole bunch of things. You had to learn a whole bunch of things in doing that. You had to learn about banks. You had to learn about, property management, all those different things. Maybe some of them you hated, maybe some of them you liked, but that's all I need is hey, I've done real estate transactions before, and either maybe I'm taking the next step, and maybe I'm taking a huge step, whatever it is, that's all you need is just, I've got it down. I know what I'm doing. And, and you come in too with having confidence, something, and I sorry, I keep bringing up his name, but Logan, I talk to Logan all the time about it. It's all about having confidence, bringing that in and showing that you've done these different things. You don't even need to have a full-fledged, super awesome website. It helps, but like I said before, I don't know what price range you're looking at, but just having a PDF bio is enough for brokers to have confidence that you're the real deal.
Sweet. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the question, Rob. Anyone else have questions?
Can I follow up on Rob's question, on a website question?
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So my partner, he's on this call, is Bobby. We built a website earlier this year, and we don't have any properties in our portfolio. But what we did was we have a section of how our deals are structured, is how we call it, and we have, the property highlights and our criteria. For example, purchase price. This is our cap rate, but going in cap rate, our cash on cash, the DSCR, and all the details. And we specified that this is how our deals would be structured. We don't currently own these properties, but these are the properties that we're looking for. Is that something that lends any credibility, or is that just a?
Yeah, it really does, especially if it's realistic for that market. It can be tough. Like, by tough, I mean, like, maybe it stretches the market, but at least if you're realistic, again, coming in, if you're looking at Kansas City and your website says, hey, we're looking for a 10 cap, you obviously haven't researched the market recently. So anyway, that kind of stuff I think is great. In an absence of a deal, these are the deals I am looking for, or we are looking for. Our criteria is pop, 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 pop. We use, we try to leverage, we use these banks or these style banks. That does lend credibility because it shows you've done, at the least, done your research.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the answer and question. All right, I think we're almost hitting the time, so we're slowly closing. Alex, how can people connect with you?
My favorite way right now, of course, is LinkedIn. So if anybody on this call or hasn't been on this call is not on LinkedIn yet, you're doing yourself a disservice. Definitely get on there and connect with me. There you'll find me. It's just my first and last name. Pretty easy to find. I'm all over as a real estate agent in Kansas City. And so you'll see me there. And then another way is you can email me directly to alex@clemensrealestate.com. And be happy to chat further about, any other questions you have. I'm an open book. I like helping people, and, any questions you got, send them my way and we'll chat more. And I'm always looking for partners too. So look forward to talking to you.
Oh, that's awesome, Alex. Man, you just gave us so many golden nuggets, and we're all sitting here this is amazing. And right from the beginning, I was like, this is just perfect. I never really even thought to have a broker on, but this has been so valuable, I believe, for all of us, because a lot of us are in the positions like, how do we even talk to you? What's the best way to speak with a broker? And you really clarified a lot of things in my mind. So I truly appreciate you coming on. And guys, look, if you're looking to get into deals, he can help you out. So Liam, maybe link up with him if you haven't already. I think that's awesome. So thank you, Alex. And we will, I think Joseph, he put your email in the chat box. I'm going to send in a follow-up email with all this information as well. And our next guest will be in there, so you guys can pre-register for that. It is on September 2nd. We're going to have David Fraz. He is a stud mortgage broker. So this guy is going to get you any kind of mortgage you want. And he is willing to talk to you even if you're not even that serious. This guy will talk and talk and talk and give you tons of information. Really good guy. I've been working with him for a while now. And he's honest and upfront also. Also, I'm going to be putting in the follow-up email, the video, obviously the replay, and I'm going to be giving everybody a template or 3 templates to choose from to make your own one-pager PDF file. You'll be able to edit it on your own and change everything you want on your own. And we're going to hopefully get Alex's example of an LOI, and we'll send that out to you guys too.
Thank you very much, Alex. There's one follow-up question, final question from Anna.
Yeah.
Speak up, Anna, please.
Hey, thanks again for answering my earlier questions. I just had one that popped up. If someone is new to the market, and they ask you for some sort of a report on a market, do you ever send something like that to just get them more familiar with the market, or would you really prefer someone that really understands the market before they approach you?
No, I think that's totally fine. If you go into it, if your first question, again, all brokers are different, but if your first question to me is, and we've never met or talked, you said, hey, can you send me the Kansas City multifamily market report? Depends on how busy it is when I would get it to you. So I think centering that around something that you do know about the market, maybe I'm making this up, hey, I'm looking over here in the northeast part of Kansas City and I'm seeing rents are $800 for 2-bedroom. I want to buy 16 units or 4 units. How do I know if I'm doing the right thing? Can you send me a market report? That definitely is something that, I would respond to.
All right, so just do a little bit of research on the front end and then just start that conversation with a broker. Make sure you're understanding some of the fundamentals and then maybe ask them for some input.
Yeah, and then you can even say, hey, what do you know what rents are in this area? Because that is something that brokers should know, is what our rents are, at least in this range, and you try and build a little bit of relationship with a broker, because the only way a broker gets paid is by making sales, and so their time is focused on sales, and so you want to build a little bit of relationship, and then if you find a good broker, you want to use them for your transaction. Now, if they're a shitty broker, you want to move on as fast as you can, and there are probably many of those as well. So that is another thing too that would kind of set somebody apart. If you come in and ask some good questions, hey, what is the rent rate here? What is this and that? And here's this market I'm kind of looking at, and I'd love to get a market report, and the broker never sends it to you. That's probably, not a very good broker as well.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you everyone for your time today. We will officially close. And thank you, Alex, once again for your time and dropping all the golden nuggets. I think it was a great session. I wish I could have randomly selected more and throw some curves here and there. Maybe
well, I appreciate it. It's great to be here.
Okay, thank you. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Nico. Just like usual, a couple of guys staying a little longer.
The after party.
That's right.
Okay. Hi, how are you doing, guys? Hey.
Good.
Leo, I just want to say thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I still want to talk to you about it. I've been researching a lot lately, and I gotta get the assessor's office. There's something called Code 111, Code 112. I gotta learn that, the eviction court, and the building department. And I also have. I was on another webinar. I think it was this Thursday. I was talking to some guy, Rama from California, and he hooked me up with somebody in Jacksonville as a property manager. Jimmy, I forgot what it was. Was it yesterday or Monday? I told you about it.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday. So they got it to me yesterday. So I want to talk to them and see if they hook me up with some other brokers and see what they can do for me. I obviously looked at their website and looked at their criteria and stuff. They look pretty good. So my next step is to get out to them. But I want to talk to you maybe in a week or so about what we talked about and all that stuff. You sent a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent a pretty big email. I felt like there's a lot of stuff to put in there, and I wanted to lay it out so that it was easy to understand. So maybe a little bit longer than just sending all the links out and trying to walk through how you go through and think about it.
I clicked on the one with my name on it. I was like, whoa, a lot of crap came up, man. Got every family member I have and every address I've had in the last 40 years.
Oh, yeah. That site is crazy.
Good that you guys are connected. Hey, what's up, Leo?